Recently, there's been a lot of discussion about the existence of trans people in video games. Of course, it's namely a few channels who really seem to report on these topics. I was originally going to talk something about how League of Legends is actually like super inviting of a space because they don't care what your race or your gender is. They just want to know what character you main and what rank you are. So I found a lot of solace is that there's an environment where I can go that I don't have to worry about like, oh, people can tell I'm trans, therefore they'll be shitty to me, which is funny because League of Legends players are notoriously incredibly misogynistic. However, it raised an even bigger question about gender dysphoria and gaming. How do these two topics kind of intersect? Where do the trans people go and enjoy these games? I know a lot of people really love Minecraft since the world is kind of yours to make and be however you like. And then I was thinking, you know, I've always really liked character creators in video games. And in fact, this was like 6 years ago when I first got Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I didn't even realize that I designed my androgynous alien to be the trans flag. And then I looked at it recently. I'm like, yeah, that shit goes hard. But the ability to express yourself and envision yourself however you'd like to with video games is unintentionally extremely accommodating for queer people because video games, the gaming industry, it's very much like white suburban households have all the money, so let's ship as many of these video games to boys as possible, and then we get your standard Call of Duty lobby, and then it gets kind of sussy, so it's just a very uncomfortable experience for almost everybody. It's even uncomfortable for the white boys who play the game because they're constantly getting called loser and slurs by each other, so it's just a environment that has gone left unchecked and has just breeded horrible things. However, there are sections where queer people have cut out their own slice of the pie and enjoy the world of gaming, and one of those is the character model builders. Well, games with character model building. This is where I think a lot of people can really enjoy Pokemon because at the game it's like, are you a boy or a girl? And you can pick whatever you want. And lately, I was always worried that because people, well, at least back in the day, if you were playing as an avatar that did not align with people's perception of you, people would be shitty of you. Like, oh, you're a boy, why are you playing a girl? You're a girl, why are you playing a boy character? And I experienced a little bit of this Super Smash Bros. As well, who I main Samus. But, you know, Zero Suit Samus is a little bit faster, has a little bit more intricate mechanics that I find have a better payoff. So I played a lot of Zero Suit Samus, and I would get grief from my father being like, why are you playing a girl? And so I switched to OG Samus. It's like, aha, you can't tell she's a girl because she's covered in a suit of armor. And that was just part of how video games are an expression of ourselves. Coming back to my point about League of Legends, one of the very first characters that I latched onto was Yumi the cat. It's just this fun, cute little thing who can be very annoying. That's just vibing, hanging out. It's like, hey, that feels like me. I just want to vibe and hang out too. This is cute. So I really enjoyed that. And the same thing could be also for like people's appreciation of a particular Pokemon that they love above others. I used to really like Chikorita growing up. A lot of people really like Charizard because the big cool fiery dragon, kind of edgy, let's get it. For pretty much every video game, there's always an optimal strategy or character that people would or wouldn't want you to play as. So in League of Legends, for example, there are some characters that are favored by people over others. For example, one of the fan favorites is a character named Braum, who is a big Russian dude who has a door that he uses as a shield and smacks people with it and has some pretty funny voice lines. And I was like, oh, if people would like me to play this character, cool, because it's a great character. Everybody on the team is happy. It raises team morale, so we're more likely to win. However, playing this character is incredibly dysphoric for me. So I would lean towards something that's different, like Leona, who also has a giant shield, but she also has a giant sword and giant suit of armor as well. And I would lovingly refer to her as like Lady Braum, because when I hear these characters' voice lines or the things she says and the things she do, it just doesn't, or like just the way the character is built is just less of a painful experience. So that's one way that I was able to enjoy environments like this. And just like people talk about there being a spectrum, there is an element that slides for me. For example, Rakan is another fan favorite character that if people see a Rakan on their team, they get really excited and they're like, hooray, we have like the enchanter that is also an engage, so it's the best of both worlds. Rakan is a rather feminine character for a boy character in a video game. A lot of the time he's even portrayed with makeup, and the dude is a dancer. But that's just another example of how just like not having an overtly masculine character to express yourself through, even in an environment like a video game where it like theoretically shouldn't matter. But at the end of the day, it's like you pick a character that you enjoy, that you have fun with, because at the end of the day, you're playing the character in the game. The game is going to be played out differently. Like if you play somebody like Aatrox, the World Ender, as he is called, versus Rakan, the Charmer, because he has the ultimate charisma stat, and he also has very humorous voice lines in the game. The characters that you play are an extension of your experience. And if the character is a boy or a girl, or neither, then it's going to affect your perception or your experience. And this is one of the biggest things where people like Asmongold don't seem to understand that who you play as in the game affects the player. One of the reasons why I can still enjoy Halo and Doom Eternal is because we don't ever hear the player character speak, and we rarely see their face. So what is there to be dysphoric about? It's just like a tall person in a green suit of armor with raging muscles. I am not bothered by this. When Paramount did their Halo series, there was a complaint about you should have never removed Master Chief's helmet, because there is no face under the helmet. That's your face that's supposed to be under the helmet. And this is why it is really important. I hear a lot of people complain that, oh, well, if we have new games coming out, why are we removing the male-female? Why are we changing it to body type 1 and 2? Or why are we like retconning some things? It's just make a new game if you want to add representation, when there is a lot of financial risk in making a video game. It's a lot easier to be, hey, we're gonna remake this game. We still want to tell queer people and people of color that this game is not just for white dudes, it's also for you people and women. So just because the game, back during a time where it made way more sense to appeal only to rich white families, the world is a different place. So even though we're doing remakes and people are not staying true to the remake, they're expanding it in a way for the whole player base. People just don't really seem to understand, like, we can't even get like a black person or a woman into a video game without a lot of people losing their minds. And that just leaves everybody else to be extra neglected, despite the companies actually making efforts to try to appeal to the rest of the people and to give them an opportunity to enjoy gaming the same way that everybody else did for the previous 20-30 years. Because they're finally thinking about people of various backgrounds. And I want more of this. And this is one of the reasons why I like League of Legends so much. They have intersex characters, gay characters, bi characters. They have its. They have sentient blobs. They have one of the tallest, buffest people in the game is a woman. One of the smallest, scrawniest people in the game is an old fuzzy man, Heimerdinger. So there's just a lot of representation baked in. And in fact, Talia was written to be a trans character, but you know, they could still be operating on the idea that cannot officially say a specific character is trans or not. And then we have Nico, the curious chameleon, who literally has shape-shifting powers and makes jokes when she transforms into guys, and other jokes when she transforms into girls, and jokes when she transforms into monsters who aren't either of those things. So it's just so interesting to see one of the few companies that I think does representation really well, Riot specifically, and even they have to not say it out loud what they're doing, because they know there's going to be a backlash, because they see it in literally every single other game. I was expecting to talk about more about like the dysphoria aspect of game, but I kind of covered that pretty quickly when I was like, oh yeah, when Braum says stuff, I feel really uncomfortable because this is supposed to be portraying me, and I feel like it's actively doing a bad job of portraying me. And then when I play Rakan, it feels a little bit closer to home, but then when I play Renata or Rel, things just feel correct, and I interface with the game in a much more enjoyable manner. But yeah, representation in gaming is important. However, we're at like a sticky point with it where a lot of people are pushing back against it, and a lot of people in these companies are not really equipped to move the needle forward in this regard. So I'm hoping that more queer people make video games in the future or get involved in these companies. And it looks like Riot has a lot of these people helping them out. So I'm very glad that one of my favorite games has all of that in there, and I get to just enjoy it, and cultural stuff too. So, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in a different one. Peace.